Is that, in the uncodified section, we said we are going to, as a legislature, petition the DEA and the U.S. Attorney General to change it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2 controlled substance. The good news is, by the way, the DEA has said they're going to make a decision on that this quarter, and they intimated that it looks like they're going to move where we want them to go. Secondarily, and again, I'll let our expert talk to this, I think it's good that we make a statement in Ohio that as Ohio is concerned, it is a Schedule 2 controlled substance. So that's why we do that, but Dr. Huffman would be better equipped
to speak to. If you look at the definition of a Schedule 1 drug, Schedule 1 drugs have no medical value, and that's absolutely false. Like Representative Schuring says, there is value. You saw these witnesses that came up and how they were going from 300 seizures a day to 5 and the quality of their life. So there is a true value in it, and I hope the FDA does in the near future move it to a Schedule 2 so that there's more research does. If you look at what the people the research being done at Nationwide Children's here and in Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, they're doing research that is proving that it should be a level Schedule 2 drug.
So you're convinced that Ohio has the authority to reschedule marijuana?
I'm not convinced of that, but I think it's a statement that we need to make that shows that it should be, and I think in the very near future it will be.
So just to clarify, I believe the bill says that we're rescheduling it. We're recommending to the FDA that they reschedule it in the future.
Doesn't it now say that for purposes of this bill it's Schedule 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why the change in the taxation line? It seemed like it went from intends to implement some kind of tax to, well, they can if they want to, essentially.
I don't think that this committee can predict what the General Assembly might do. One thing that we know is it needs to be taken up separately by the General Assembly because, as we've heard through the testimony, the fees and if there are any excise taxes, you have to make sure they're just the right amount of money, because if you put too many fees and too many taxes on this, then what happens is it's not something that will win the day in the marketplace. It will actually drive people to the black market, and we don't want that. So that's why it has to be done separately through separate legislation. The other thing I would tell you, there's a very methodical process to get this up and running. Some have criticized that. But if you look at the language, it says within 1 year, the commission will promulgate the rule, and then within 1 year, the commission will be ready to start taking applications and be operational. So it doesn't mean it's going to be exactly 2 years. It means within those allotted time frames. During that time, the General Assembly will also have to look at if we want to do an excise tax, and if we do, what would be the appropriate amount. But that's why we didn't want to wade into that right now.
Are there any other cases in Ohio law where Ohio taxes medicine?
No, there are not.
So if you believe this is medicine, do you believe it should not be taxed?
Well, that's one of the questions, and that's why, again, we are very careful in how it's worded in the bill, so we don't end up opening up a Pandora's box regarding whether or not it is taxable, because as you know, in our Constitution, it states that you cannot tax medicine. So that will be the question, and somewhat paradoxical, isn't it? Because on one hand, we're saying it's medicine, and on the other hand, some might suggest we have an excise tax, but that really is in large part why we don't want to be specific as it relates to an excise tax. It's something that's going to have to be deliberated and debated and might not win today, and I'm sure there will be many members who will have strong opinions about it when that point in time comes.
What's your opinion?
I think it has to be deliberated and debated. Congress deals with businesses in Ohio, and they are an entity that issues licenses. And one of the primary functions of the commission will be to issue licenses.
But along with that, in there it says a number of times, they will make these decisions with consultation with the medical board, with the pharmacy board, so they're not, they're taking the medical aspect and getting other people with that expertise to give their opinion on it.
I think that's a strong point, and it goes back to the safety and efficacy issue. We want to make sure that it's available, but we want to make sure that there's enough guardrails around it, that we're not doing something that unintentionally would cause harm.
Did you pick Commerce because of its experience with the liquor industry?
In part, yes.
Did you see something similar emerging?
Yes. In fact, to that point, if you look at what we've done as it relates to dispensaries, we've said that we will look at a population criteria, but we also are going to let local governments opt out if they want to, much like we do.